Office. If you've seen The Office, you definitely know the character Michael Scott is, played by Steve Carell. As regional manager at a paper company, Michael Scott often makes offensive comments, racist remarks, and poor decisions. This is due to his disconnection from the current moment and environment. His character epitomizes mindlessness and mindless actions. Mindlessness is a problem. Ellen J. Langer, a professor of psychology at Harvard, defines mindlessness as a state of mind characterized by an over-reliance on categories and distinctions drawn in the past, and in which the individual is context-dependent and oblivious to alternative aspects of a situation. Mindlessness is usually developed in the past from information from an authority, irrelevant information, or information that was presented as an absolute when it wasn't necessarily an absolute. Some of the simplest forms of mindfulness can produce habits, which are seen as good or bad, functional fixedness, which limits people to see only one use for something, and automatic processing versus controlled processing. Introduction to Management classes at LSU teach about this mindlessness in different terms. As defined by Professor Carrie Sawley of LSU, a heuristic is a mental shortcut that we use in making a decision. We use it because it simplifies the complex, reduces information demands, and saves on time and effort. They're often seen as helpful, but are too often lead to a cognitive bias, which is a systematic pattern of deviation from norm or rationality in judgment, whereby inferences about people and situations may be drawn in an illogical fashion. Now, a perfect example of mindlessness in the workplace would be a manager gives an interview, and the man he's interviewing gives a weak handshake, turns out to be a bad employee, and is fired. The manager in the future never hires anyone with a weak handshake because he mindlessly associates a weak handshake with a bad employee and misses out on some great employees. On the other side, the man who was fired goes on to actively and mindfully give firm handshakes in every other interview. Mindlessness plays a big role in other things such as anxiety, depression, OCD, and addiction, which are all huge problems in the world and in our country specifically. And mindlessness is the underlying cause of all impulsive actions. And impulsive actions aren't necessarily what we want because we don't put much thought into them. Now, on the flip side of mindlessness is the opposite, which is mindfulness, which is the solution also. I've talked to y'all about mindfulness before and give you 7 ways to practice mindfulness in your own lives. This includes practicing unself-consciousness, savoring, compartmentalizing, doing less, making everything a meditation, accepting everything that happens to you, and breathing and focusing on your breathing. Former law professor Tony Bernard explains another benefit of mindfulness, which is non-judgment, as a doorway to equanimity, because the essence of equanimity is being okay with an experience, whether it is pleasant or unpleasant. Mindfulness also helps raise an awareness and acceptance of the ego, and has various mental and physical health benefits, including boosting of the immune function, reducing of stress, lowering of blood pressure, helping in the regression of HIV, helping to cope with physical pain and mental pain. People look at monks as some of the happiest and most peaceful people out there, and everyone wants peace and happiness for the world. Yet, not many people look to monks as an example of a way they should live their lives. And I'm not saying that everyone should live their lives like a monk does, but I think they're a prime example of people in this world who live a mindful lifestyle. The perfectly mindful lifestyle would result in no mental pain, an ability to cope better with physical pain, an ability to accept everything that comes, and in the end would result in a true happiness or enlightenment. And in high school, in a class about Catholicism and philosophy, I learned of 4 levels of happiness, and at the top of that was inner peace or surrender or ultimate happiness. And this ultimate happiness cannot occur through a mindless lifestyle because you wouldn't know yourself well enough, and you wouldn't be able to accept things that come to you well enough to find that inner peace. And because visualizing the effects and inner workings of mindfulness is hard, I'm going to ask you to practice it right now as I talk to you more, and focus on exactly what I'm saying, what's going on around you. Focus on your breathing, maybe. Focus and just be completely here right now with full attention on the now. Because mindfulness is intrinsic, creating a completely mindful society cannot be done using legislation or force. 2 ways we can help make a more mindful world is practicing mindfulness ourselves and informing others of this practice by telling friends, giving speeches like I'm doing now, and just getting the word out there. And I can guarantee the world would be a very different and better place if everyone could live a more mindful instead of mindless life.